Hey, welcome to the Soapboxx podcast. I am your host, TJ Legacy. And of course, we're here every week on Thursdays. I'm here with the Soapboxx fam, all the way from NYC. My man 50 Grand was good. Alan York was good.
Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. I'm glad to be here. It feels like it's been a little bit of a minute. I finally figured out how to do my Zoom background. Life is good, man. How y'all feeling?
Hey, feeling good, feeling great, man. I'm loving it. Making her triumphant return to the Soapboxx. We have our co-host, Miss Jessica Andrade. What's up, Jess? Welcome back.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. TJ, don't be dramatic. It's only been 3 episodes. Hey, everybody.
Soapboxx Nation, y'all can let us know how many episodes it's been, but it's great to have Jess back and her energy. How you been? How's everything? You good?
Everything is good, except for the fact that I thought my brother was today, which he wasn't. He just wasn't picking up my calls. But yeah, I'm doing good.
Yes. And so this week, well, I'm glad that he's okay, and that you didn't go overboard. Well, you did go overboard, but I'm glad it was a good overboard though.
Yeah, it was like overprotective sister.
Yes. Slash stalker. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Listen, hey, this week is Black Media Matters Week. And last week I was afforded the opportunity. Was it last week or about a week ago? About a week or so ago.
Yeah,
about a week or so ago, I was afforded the opportunity to join this good brother's show. So I'm going to introduce him first and then introduce his co-host, Mr. TJ Chatman of the Chatman Show, the TJ Chatman Show. What's going on, man? He's working on his audio.
What's happening, family? What's good with you?
You're good. Okay, good. What's going on, man? How you been?
Yeah. Oh, not much, man. Just heading to Tallahassee.
Oh, what's in Tallahassee this week?
I'm going to a funeral with a friend of mine.
Oh, sorry to hear that. But I'm glad that even though you're on the road, that we can still share this space and still chop it up. Make sure you're being safe on that road while you're talking with us as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, and I didn't want to forget I'm gonna do it like how TJ does it on the show. the lovely, the beautiful Morgan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
No problem.
TJ be extra. I don't need all that.
No, which one?
Hey,
I'm extra too.
You're gonna get extra from me.
I'm extra too. So it's great to have you all here. We love doing these crossover episodes. Shout out to Soapboxx Nation. You guys are in here heavy. Soapboxx Nation and those who are watch TJ Chatman Show regularly. So yeah, we're just gonna have some fun, chop it up, talk about a few topics. But I really wanted to dive into you all. I didn't get a chance when you guys interviewed me about a week or so ago. How did the TJ Chatman Show, TJ? How did it come to be? Why did you decide, hey, I want to start my own show?
Well, I've always been a big talker, and people always just like, hey, you just need to get your own talk show and just talk about different things. But that's all I did. And so it's about 3 years ago, November 17th, I decided to go ahead and give birth to the TJ Chatman Show, and we've been riding high ever since.
Word. And how did you guys end up doing your, coming to be as a parent, Morgan?
Ooh,
was it like a vetting process?
Well, I mean, I actually have my own podcast, and we met.
Shout it out for the family. Let them know.
Out of this Conversations podcast, and a mutual friend introduced us because he was like, "Oh, you have a podcast? TJ has a show. Y'all should meet." And so we were on the set for the movie Soulhood Prime. They were filming, and that's how I met TJ. He asked me to come on the show. I came on as a guest, and I kind of like came on again, and then eventually he asked how, if I would, like to be his co-host. So I was like, I guess, sure.
That's better than how I did it. I had to beg these folks, please.
Oh wow.
Please help. No, just kidding.
Oh please, TJ, stop. Like Morgan said, you extra.
No, tell them how you got on the show, because I'm sure they wanted to, ask, y'all more than welcome to ask us questions. It's a crossover, so.
Okay, yeah. So what's the story? What's the soapbox story?
Yes, you, Jess.
Oh, all right, TJ, I got it.
Jess has her version, I have mine. So go ahead, Jess.
I got it.
TJ gave me a call and he basically asked me, and I was like, are you sure about this? Because I have no idea why you're asking me. And I agreed to it because you know what? His vision was very positive, very moving, and it inspired me. And I wanted to be a part of it. And here I am with my people, and I have no regrets.
Yes, well, Jess is uber talented. She does comedy on her and does skits on her Instagram, and I looked at her as one of the rising stars of similar to how they have Kev on stage and you have the people from Wild 'N Out. So Jess is right in that same, and Ryan Davis, she's right in that same light, and she has a huge Cape Verdean following that idolizes her and loves her. And so I saw that and I was like, her energy is the reason why she's here, and she keeps us on our toes and so forth and so on. All right.
I really don't like people talking about me.
I owe her $20 for saying that publicly. Yeah, but then Alan, you go ahead and tell your side.
Nah, my story is way more to the point, less climactic, less background. TJ the homie, he called me, said, listen, man, I'm starting this thing, conglomerate, black media. I'm spearheading it. Want you and a couple other minds to get down. I said, I don't have to leave the house. I'm cool. Let's get it.
pretty much. Well, I think for us, the reason why I wanted, and we missing one more, we have Javonni. She's actually in Tallahassee. She's a reporter up there on the Hill. But I wanted to have a space where, and I felt like it was important for us to have a space as Black folks where we can tell our stories and talk about, really anything. As Alan's intro, that was Alan who was doing the intro, by the way. He's an independent artist. So, I wanted to have a space so that we can tell our stories and interview and really be authentic, uncensored, and not as, tightly wound as the traditional media is today. So, really a place that we can kick it, but really talk truth to power on our issues and be authentic. And so I know Alan since, we were in college together. And so doing the whole student government thing. So, I was like, look, man, this dude's got, creativity, got a lot to say. And plus he's one of those folks that will definitely, tell me if I'm wrong or not, and tell me, hey, we got to scale back. This is what we got to do. So yeah, so it all worked out.
Cool.
Oh.
Now, what's your story? Why did you bring them on?
Why did I bring them on?
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest with you. For everybody on my podcast makes me better. Every single one of them, in some way or fashion, whatever skill set they have, make me better. And I think that they speak to a demographic of people. Jesse represents for women, and she has that up north flavor. Javonni brings a more traditional journalism background, but yet Jesse and Javonni are moms, so they have that background as well. Alan brings the hip hop background. He's very versatile in his expounding on things in a philosophical type of way. And then I have my activism background, political background. So it all just kind of fit. So, we just wanted to have a good team so we could be well-balanced, well-rounded. So we could literally talk about, anything, and kind of what we always say, swim in the deep end. Like, we wanted to make sure that when we have a conversation, we can go deep, we can cut up, we can, act the fool, but we could also have some real thorough conversations as well.
Nice.
Yeah. But I do want to tell you, I seen you. We went to the Tom Joyner. I saw you at the Tom Joyner event. You were doing your thing. Are there certain events that you've gone to that really kind of put you over your show over, where you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm at this event and I started this independent business?
Well, I would actually have to say it would be the Tom Joyner Family Union.
Okay.
Because the first time I was introduced to it in 2018, and I had no idea what I was doing, and did my research, relied on my gifts, my talent, grab a couple people up and say, hey, let's see what it's all about. And it was just me, myself, and my videographer. And so we went out there, got a chance to interview Thelma from Good Time, BBD, and I was like, wow, okay, this is how it's supposed to be. And so we dropped the trailer, and next thing you know, Tom joining them enjoyed it. And so it was like, hey, we got to get this brother back again next year. And then next year, it was like, hey, you know what? I got my crew. Y'all, let's do this. And 2019 was the best, and 2020 would have been even better because we got invited to host the cruise, and we're going to be doing behind the scenes. Cruise? Yep, we were going to do the Tom Joyner cruise.
So that's where all the sugar mamas is at.
I know.
I know you cleaned up, boy. I don't know if you're married or you're taking or whatever, but I know because I was at the Tom Joyner show, and you could feel feel the cougar energy. You know, I was like, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave.
The auntie alley oops was over there.
I was ready to listen. I was ready to get chose. You see what I'm
Hey,
saying?
it was great, man. And then it went from there when did different.
He froze up a little bit.
Let the Android go, bruh.
No, hey, listen.
Hold on, man. We
do not slander the droids. On this show.
Hey, listen. At least she's keeping it real.
I mean, he's stuck.
Just say, go ahead. You have a question? Go ahead. Go.
He's stuck. He's stuck. So,
hey,
just say go.
So, I have a quick question. So I'm talking to you, Morgan, because we're the only women in here. What's up, girl? How you doing?
Just ready to crack it, get a taste of it. Oh, hey.
Hey, TJ, lost you for a second.
Yeah, no.
No, go ahead, Jess. Go ahead. I got it.
Come back. So Morgan, I know TJ wanted to sit there and say I got other talents, even though he's just being extra. But how about you? Do you have any other talents that maybe people don't know about, or maybe people do know about, but talk about it?
Good question.
This is not a show for modesty. We brag on ourselves on this show.
That's right.
So you go ahead and do it.
Well, me podcasting was it's a hobby. I don't, I just do it because I enjoy it. I do dance, not but I do take dance classes sometimes. So I do that. But other than that, I just be chilling. I have twin boys, so I'm a mommy, and other than that, I just be chilling.
I hear you. What kind of dance you be doing?
I take heel classes. I used to teach back home because I'm from Alabama, so I used to teach back home, but I didn't want to teach anymore when I moved here. So I just, got out there and see what was out there and started taking some classes, and I enjoy it.
I used to do dance back in high school, but I don't think I could do it now. I can't even breathe.
Are you gonna tell her about the time you rejected that guy because he couldn't dance?
No, we're not gonna talk about that, TJ. We're not.
Jess used to put. No, I'm gonna bring it up. Morgan, Jess used to put her boyfriends in dance competitions, and whoever lost is who she dumped. That's the type of person she is.
First of all, that happened on the
show. one time, right?
No. Listen. Moving on.
No, but you know what's funny? I like the fact that every time someone who tells me that they're a professional dancer, they always have to have that caveat of, listen, y'all, the poles are horizontal. They are not vertical. I am a professional,
Because it's now you have to say, because when you say I'm a dancer, that's the first, people forget about the arts, they forget about other dancing. You know what I mean? Especially in the Black community, when if you're a Black woman and you say you dance, that's the first thought. Are you a stripper?
Right.
And you no, there are forms of dancing.
There's other dancers out there.
Within our, I don't know if it's a stereotype thing, but
Well, let me ask you this, Morgan. How important is it to you? how important is it to you as a Black woman to have a voice on a podcast and be able to not only have your own, but to support TJ on his show? Like, is that something that you kind of grasp the magnitude of that, or you just was like, hey, this is just kind of like what you do in your personality?
At first, yes, it was just what I do in my personality, but the feedback that I was getting from everybody was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I love your podcast. I like how you talk, how you speak, the things that you talk about." So I'm like, okay, people really liking this shit. Like, okay,
Mhm.
I said shit. I'm sorry.
Oh, we are
Um,
uncensored.
okay,
Please,
perfect.
we have
Yeah, 'cause
we
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 cussing.
we don't have any
Uh,
home training and no manners here. Don't
She
please
said
go.
perfect.
okay, because I was yeah. So at first, no, I didn't think about it like, but now, yes, I do realize that the things that I speak about and what I choose to speak about, and who I bring, like people are actually listening. So it does mean a lot to me that people do value what I'm talking about. My opinions, my perspective of different subjects and things like that. So unexpectedly, it turned into that for me. So yeah.
That's what's up. Um,
Dope.
go ahead. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, no, just a quick question for TJ. I understand you had a Juneteenth rally. How did that go, man?
Man, it was awesome, bro. Um, we got about a good 150, 200 people. And we did it like within a week's time and went down to uh, downtown Sanford, sat at the head of the table, talked to these folks, explained to them what I wanted to do in Sanford. So, they approved us. I got and we started broadcasting everywhere, and it was a major success. And so now a lot of other people wanted me to help organize other rallies, and there's a fundraiser that's coming up for Monique Ruel, who's on my show on Tuesday night because she's running for state attorney, and so the young lady that was next to her, Candy Bryant, me and her actually going to partner up and put a rally together for her out in Osceola, because a lot of people don't really know of her that much. So I'm going to do whatever I can on my platform to get the word out, get the people out in Osceola County to get out the vote, and we're just going to bring it home because she definitely is the change that we need. No disrespect against the former Judge Perry, but he's had his time. 4 decades to be exact. So he did everything that needs to be done, and what needs to happen. I don't feel that he's going to be that changed because he's already been in the system, and nothing has happened. If he wanted to really advocate towards it, something else could have happened, but it didn't. So we need some fresh blood, a new perspective, somebody that's been fighting for it for year after year, and now they can talk about it because her history back up what she's saying, and that's very important.
Sure.
I like that, and you know what? It's very important to have, even on our show and then the shows that the individual interviews that I do on Wednesdays. It's very important to have our people socially and politically engaged, and having different candidates and having a different voice, because there really is, especially here in Central Florida, there isn't that many spaces for them to just have the time to just tell their story or talk about their platform outside of a traditional debate setting. So what are some things that you guys learned, Morgan, TJ, that you learned from that interview with Monique as a state attorney, as to why you feel like she's the best candidate? Is there something that stood out?
I mean, for me, it was just the fact that she's been fighting the fight for a very long time. Not just talking about what it is. She's actually been showing and improving and doing her resume. You know what I'm saying? She laid out her resume saying these are the things that I've been doing. You know what I mean? So her actually running is because she wants to make a difference. You know what I mean? It's not just because, it's popular to do right now. I think right now with the climate and everything is going on, everybody's like, throw my name in the hat, throw my name in the hat. I can fix it. But she's actually been doing the work. She knows what she's talking about. She has the statistics and numbers and all those things to, educate our people, You know what I mean? So we don't get caught up in the stigmas and, you know, all these different, you know, black on black crime is higher here, or, you know, I really was impressed with her bringing those numbers to say, listen, this is not the case. These are not the facts. You know what I mean? And be confident about that. So that's what did it for me.
Got it. Do you feel when it comes to politics and do you feel like your audience, you know, grasp the concept or the importance of it, or as far as your feedback? Because I know that's what BET once said, that they were like, oh, well, black folks don't really, the reason we don't have that type of program is because black folks don't want to view people who are politically engaged, like a CNN, MSNBC, or on Fox News. How has your feedback been on your show and on TJ Chatman's show? As far as the feedback you've received, as far as, with people, liking it, not liking it, or actually staying engaged with it.
Well, for me, on my podcast, I haven't really specifically dove into like politics. Like, no, it's kind of like a free zone of whatever we're talking about at the time. The last episode that we did, dive into as far as like Black Lives Matter and, as far as our perspective on our end, not so much of the political, side of things. And that's just because I just keep it real. I'm not all that, educated when it comes to like, politicians and political stuff and things like that. So I am educating myself now more, whether it's, reading more articles, being on TJ's show and actually listening to candidates say, this is, so I'm more intrigued now, but I don't too much speak on something if I'm not 100% on what I'm talking about. Cause I don't want to give my listeners false information. I don't want to just be talking out the ass just to be a part of the conversation. You know what I mean? So, I can't necessarily, now on TJ's show, yes, we tap into it a whole lot more. So that's where I do most of that, engage in that conversation is on TJ's show, which is great for me. I personally have to take that mental break. So on my show, I probably don't do as much political talk. Okay,
cool. Hey, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit to one of our topics that we're trending this week. Alan, we have Bubba Wallace and the news story. You guys familiar with that?
Yes, I heard about it.
Yeah, Alan.
A lot of people now are starting to compare it to.
Yeah, Alan's gonna set it up for us. You got it, Alan?
Yeah. Well, if you guys don't know, Bubba Wallace is a NASCAR driver. NASCAR has taken some steps over the last 3 to 4 weeks or so to be vocal about their support for Black Lives Matter, for Black people, including banning Confederate flags from their events, which, if you know anything about NASCAR, is a pretty big deal. On the heels of that, if I'm not mistaken, their lone, or if not one of their lone Black NASCAR drivers found a noose in his garage. So this was everything essentially was like a perfect storm. Now, recently, NASCAR said after launching a full investigation, this noose was something that was in the garage going to as far back as October. So, essentially, Bubba Wallace is saying he's kind of moving on from it. He does understand that an investigation was launched. So, but at the end of the day, it's something that had to be looked into, regardless of how you feel as far as what the outcome was. Things like that are not to be taken lightly due to the historical aspect of what nooses mean. And we don't even have to say historical. There's Black people getting hanged 4 or 5, or I should say 5 people just got hanged this month throughout the country. So it's still very relevant today. So, as of right now, everyone's kind of quote unquote moving on from it, but they are giving NASCAR credit for at least launching a full investigation. So what do you guys think about that?
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna let you start, TJ. Go ahead. You gotta unmute yourself, brother.
It was kind of like, wow, everything that's okay. My bad.
No, you good. You good. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So when I first heard about it, I was kind of like, all right, wow. Um, this is crazy. People coming out of woodworks trying to scare us, want us to back down from this movement that's happening. And then the news broke like, okay, we did an investigation. It's been hanging there for a year. So I'm like, hanging there for a year and y'all just now seeing it. But then, of course, I started doing a little more research and starting to understand that, okay, it probably was there and people didn't think nothing about it. It's kind of like, you know, people see a guy beat up on a woman in public. They just look at it and won't do nothing about it until, you know, a situation happens. And now they want to say, oh, yeah, you know, I can't believe this happened, da, 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 da. And they also now comparing him to Jussie Smollett situation. Oh, he just wanted to get attention and all this other stuff. But people didn't realize that he didn't even see it. It was somebody else that said it, that saw it and told him about it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a fishy type of thing. But hey, I'm glad they launched it. Need to move on from it, take it out, and that's that.
Yeah. My stance has always been if your lone black driver gets the garage that just happens to have the noose in it, then that's the fucking problem. You see what I'm saying? Like that noose was there to send a message to Bubba Wallace, and it just so happened to be a coincidence that Bubba Wallace was it was in his garage, and he's the one that got NASCAR to ban the Confederate flags. I think NASCAR has a complete overhaul when it comes to the imagery. They have allowed white supremacists to show up to their events, and this has been their safe haven. And so, as we know, white supremacy doesn't like to take any L's. So now that he's got the flag ban, now they like to pull these old tricks by putting nooses. It's not the rope that's supposed to scare anybody. It's the fact, it's the message. And a lot of this is covert racism that they want to send a message like, hey, boy, you need to know. It's that you need to know your place type of stuff. So this whole idea that they did an investigation and they didn't see that it was a hate crime and they're using this as a way to discredit him is BS, is to discredit Bubba Wallace is BS, because like TJ said, he didn't file the complaint in the first place. He didn't find it. Somebody else found it, and then they reported it. So I think NASCAR, I do think, and let me ask y'all this, because maybe I'm in the minority, and I'll ask you, Alan, do you think that it's important for black folks to now support NASCAR in droves to kind of take over their fan base, or have they done enough, or should we just kind of like, let's wait and see?
I think that I think any outlet where we are expanding our options professionally is good for the community. And the reason why I say that is just because how many people we know, especially in the South, are extremely passionate about cars, came up with their uncles and their fathers and their OGs and their cousins taking together and putting cars together. Like, these are skills that we have. So even if you're not going to be behind the wheel in the driving aspect, and of course we do love to drive fast as well as slow. We love cars. That's a part of a culture as well. And in each area for African Americans. So I think that, even if we don't make a concerted effort to support NASCAR as a company, I do think that it is going to be advantageous for us to broaden our horizons and not maybe think of NASCAR or racing as a quote unquote white sport. So I do think that aspect of it will be good. And like I said, I would love to see more young brothers coming up, putting their skills on the highest level as far as competing. Like I said, even if it's just being a mechanic or being in the back or, being in the garage and different aspects and arenas. So I do think that good things can come of this. And, we like to show out. If it's one of us, we can definitely concern all of our efforts to have 1,000 people for one black NASCAR driver. And, it'll be a snowball effect. We make everything cool. We've been rocking Eminem race car jackets for a long time. Maybe those will come back. We make stuff cool on accident. So yeah. I do think it's cool. I do think it has its effects, even if it's not NASCAR specifically, even if it's just Formula One racing. I would love to see more black brothers get into it.
Well, I want to ask. I got a pertinent question to ask Morgan. Morgan, if we had if a brother is, let's say hypothetically, a brother is asking you on a date, and he said, "Listen, we're gonna go get something to eat, and then we're gonna head to this NASCAR. We're gonna head to this NASCAR event. Is that cool with you, or is that an acceptable event?" I'm gonna ask Just saying, is that acceptable?
I mean, a date is a date to me. I'm an adventurous person. I've done skydiving, things like that. So that is something that I want to do. Eventually that is on my list of things to do. So yeah, I would be totally down to go to NASCAR. Yeah, I'd be down for that.
TJ, we got to set up an event where we take everybody to Daytona Beach, where everybody, like a droves of black folks in our Black Lives Matter shirts or whatever, we just go. And then it's gonna be fun for about a good, let's say, a good 30 minutes until they start driving. We sitting there like this, waiting for something to pop.
You know what?
I know, right? I went to my first NASCAR before. It was like back when I was in college. A college friend of mine, he was like, hey, bro, you ever been to Daytona 500? It's like, nah. I want to go there for. I mean, if it's cars go around in a circle, around. He's like, trust me, bro, it's gonna be so much fun. I was like, I went because they had kids to drive, and I got there about it.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit, and your thing with you. So he was talking about his experience with your first NASCAR event. I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to be stereotypical, but I could just see us they're gonna be like, hey, there goes the neighborhood, because people are gonna come in there and like, we got to show up to NASCAR the same way we showed up to the first Black Panther movie. That's how we got to show up. If we're gonna try to take over something, we got to really, take it over.
I already envision. I see the marching bands. I see
we got to have a marching
side. I see a good 12-piece orchestra going crazy for Bubba. I vision it. We're gonna have to entertain ourselves.
We're gonna be jaywalking while they driving. Hold on.
Little G stroll. Come on now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. My goodness. Just number foolishness. We can sell them plates out there too. That's what we gonna just take everything over. But you know what's good is that they actually, not only is Bubba Wallace the black driver, but they actually made another black man, young black brother, head of their diversity, or he's an executive for them. So they are trying to make strides. And really, NASCAR has done more to support Bubba Wallace than the NFL has done to support Colin Kaepernick anyway. So, so we got to give him credit for that. And at least, I got to try to fit my body in a. They don't have jerseys, so I don't know what am I supposed to do. We got to get the whole outfit.
No,
we got to see brothers in full. Man.
Jackets. Walmart still sells race car jackets. You can get them, and they're big.
I don't know. I want the whole suit.
I'll buy you one piece. I got you.
Good. I want the whole onesie, like the zip right here.
But you know what? In regards to that, I think NFL has always been a organization to push the shield and the team and the organization more than they do individuals, because the shelf life is just so short. It makes sense for someone with NASCAR to get behind a person, because that person can be competing for 10, 20 years. And so if you have people get emotionally attached to one person, you have a fan damn near for life if they're going to be competing for a long time. With NFL, quarterbacks, musical chairs, running backs, musical chairs. So the incentive is not really there for that.
True. Just say.
I agree.
I don't know where she just went.
I'm here, my cat. Psycho.
Just got a cat she can't control. Gotta leave. Just say, what's going on? Hey. What's going on with Fabulous and Emily now?
Oh, Fabulous and Emily. What a beautiful couple, right? I mean, I think they make a cute couple. Well, they're having a baby. Congratulations to them. A baby is always a blessing. You know, they already have kids together, but they're gonna. But you know, people are upset about that because you know everyone's always in everybody else's business. So people think they have the right to be upset with what they choose to do. So, as you guys may or may not recall, back in like 2018, Fabulous was arrested on domestic violence charges after he assaulted Emily. Do you guys remember that?
Yes, I do.
Or did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
So it was a pretty crazy situation, and then there was video of him, I believe, threatening some of her family members with a gun.
Yeah.
Kind of extreme. But
Allegedly, just in case allegedly. Yeah. Go ahead.
It was her father.
Her father. I remember her father was out there. He wanted the
It was
smoke.
her father, but I think there was somebody else too. I don't think it was, but yeah, her father was one of the people that was there. So so now we're here in 2020, and people are upset that they're having a baby. Now, I also want to note that he didn't get like any jail time. Instead, he went to a domestic violence workshop. So, I mean, I can't really like I feel like when it comes to domestic violence, like I was saying before, it's like a really touchy subject. So you have to be careful the way you talk about it. We don't know their situation. We don't know what they're dealing with. We don't know what demons he's battling with, what she's been through. For me, the way I look at it, at the end of the day, they're two grown adults. Yeah. They make their decisions. We don't know what's happening behind closed doors. So what is it, 18, 19, 2 years later, they're still together happily. They're having a baby. Let them be happy. I mean, we haven't heard anything, and I'm not justifying anybody's behavior because I wish somebody would. But what I'm saying is,
wish somebody would.
I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you think like she's wrong for staying with him?
Morgan, I'm gonna toss it to you first. I'm gonna let you have that one.
Me personally, I'm not finna be more mad than she is. You know what I mean? I think like, yes, we can. I mean, I feel like people get too invested in other people's lives. You know what I mean? It's one thing to say, okay, you beat women or however people want to perceive him, and choose to not support his music or what have you, or stop, being a fan and things like that. But as far as their personal relationship, like I can't be mad, Emily, if that's you know what I mean? If I don't know what they talked about, like we be so invested in other people's relationships and things just because they're celebrities. I'm not finna be more outraged than the woman that's laying next to him. I'm not finna do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
You can make we saw the video of him cutting up. We saw, the reports about what, her physical, being after whatever happened, and you make your decision. Either you're going to support him or you're not. But I'm not like all that, people, listen, them people want to have a baby, that's their damn business. That's her business, whatever she wants to do. Like, we just be doing too much when it comes to celebrity business and shit like that, and their relationships, like.
Yeah. No, I think this is a classic case that I know he's gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it for him because I know it's gonna shock him. This is a classic case, and I'm talking about Alan. This is a classic case of mind your business. We gotta just mind our business because I know I felt it even when we posted as a story. He's gonna say, "Yo, I don't care. Let her do whatever she wants. She could have a litter of kids. I don't care. It's their business." But what people don't realize, especially within domestic violence situations, is that someone in a domestic violence situation has to leave about, on average, a minimum of 7 times before they actually leave the person for good, right? And so she may have this Stockholm syndrome and be good with him right now. It don't matter what her dad say. It don't matter what her friends say. She has to make that decision for herself. As far as Fabulous is concerned, if you're looking at it from his perspective, anytime you got to fight the girl who you're with, or even her father, it's time to go. Like once you start fighting family members and you're going through all that, it's really it's time to go. But I agree with you, Morgan. Like we don't have really a leg to stand on because it's there, and that's why there was a story real quick of one of my homeboys was coming out of a movie theater. and he saw a dude getting into an argument with his girl in the parking lot. You know, typical like, oh, you was looking at the other dude, you know, that kind of thing after a movie lets out. So my homeboy was like, yo, leave her alone. Stepped up to the dude, was like, yo, leave her alone. What you doing? Right? He had his day. He's like, yo, leave her alone. What happened was he started getting in a tussle with the dude, and the girl jumped on his back. The girl's her boyfriend, his girlfriend, jumped, and he tried to defend her. So, you know, you don't know whatever that pillow talk is a mother. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know what's going on in people's space. Give them an opportunity to seek help when they need it. But really, this is a classic case of we got to just kind of sit this one out, mind our business, and you know, hope the best for that child.
You don't, as far as your friend goes, you don't know how they argue behind closed door. That might be a norm for them. Like I've seen people argue where it looks like they're gonna hit each other, but they don't do nothing. But that's just how they communicate with each other. A lot of people are different. For me, it's like I wouldn't expect anybody to interfere unless somebody physically put their hands on me. First of all, I'm not about to be out there arguing with nobody out loud for everybody to see. But you know, things do happen. You never know what does happen. And if I'm arguing with you, it's for a reason. But
I was about to say that. I was about to say, Jess, you seem like the type of person that would be the aggressor in a situation. You would be verbally getting into somebody like that.
I am a little aggressive, but you know, healthy aggressive.
Just be like, listen, you made me smack you. You're one of those people. You just
no, okay, I'm not physically aggressive. I don't put my hands on nobody unless I expect to get hit back. And trust me, I don't want to get hit back.
Yeah. I'm gonna hit Alan. I'm gonna let you wrap it up, TJ. Go ahead, Alan.
Hey, you guys pretty much nailed it on the head. I think especially when you are in a situation or in a situation like this where she went with him to court in regards to the same actual charges that he was fighting. There was no jail time. So I think that she would probably even advise us not to get too deep into it because we quote unquote don't know what happened. So I am going to respect that. Just because it's just a lot of speculation. I mean, if it was, I'd probably be more comfortable talking about it if it was a stronger conviction. And, you know, I would have to probably look into the details of what the plea deal was. But for now, you know, at the end of the day, we just really gotta hope and pray that the baby is gonna come up in a healthy situation, and that's something that whatever they're going through is reconciled. Because one of the disturbing things that I took from the video that with the incident with Fab and the father-in-law is that was taken from the viewpoint of a window, like, and I'm not sure if the kids was around, but it's somebody looking outside seeing that from their house. So just I'm sure the mental toll that could take on somebody at a young age is something that doesn't go away quick. So you know, hopefully that's something that they've worked through internally, and hopefully something that the kid coming into this world doesn't necessarily have to experience.
Word. Let me ask you this, TJ. If let's say, and you know, where nobody's wishing anything bad to happen, let's oh, did he freeze up?
Right.
Let me see. Oh, you okay? You can hear me, right, TJ?
Yeah, I can hear you. You good?
All right. Let's say this. If she happens to say, you know, in the future, should we be, if there's future events, right, of violence, do we as the public get outraged at that as well? Given the circumstances? He's having a difficult thing. Anybody can take that. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that we could
I mean, I don't know if anyone has the quote unquote right to be outraged, but I do think that there has to be some sort of level of accountability. I'll just speak for men, because women are going to be outraged because unfortunately a lot of them have gone through that. I think as men, especially in this, I guess we're talking about men in powerful positions, we have to look in the mirror and ask what we're going to do. I know that there was a little bit of backlash because coming up, him and Jada are doing a versus, which is a Swiss Beats platform where two artists, they play records back to back. But I do think
very New York. I know you guys are excited. It's like a holiday.
Extremely.
It's
but I think that if something like that were to rehappen again, or more, even if more would have come out, I think that men have to have a conversation, especially men within that tier, within the hip hop community, on how they're going to move forward and either taking him to task or maybe blackballing him, or maybe just I don't think that we can be ideal in these situations publicly anymore, because a lot of women are feeling like we're too complacent, and I think that strives that as men that we have to make sure that we do better in that category.
No doubt. Go ahead, Morgan.
I was gonna say men should be having that conversation regardless, because just because Fab may not be slapping Emily around, somebody's daughter,
somebody. You're right.
Somebody is getting slapped around, so we can't. I just feel like, that's just a conversation that, I think we've already been having and we should have, but we can't just like make it more important because it's Fab and Emily.
Yeah. Well, I was just responding to TJ asking if there should be more public outrage.
No, and I was just saying they should be talking about it. They should be outraged anyway. I mean?
I actually believe that domestic violence awareness should be taught in schools. Like, I think that it should be something that's ingrained, because a lot of domestic violence, there's a difference between anger management and domestic violence and battery, right? Domestic battery. So anger management is just like anger is just like an emotion, like love or anything. It's an emotion. Oh, I'm angry. But that's not necessarily why batterers abuse people. It's a power and control thing. And power and control has a lot to do with your pathway. And your pathway is all that stuff that is happening to you early in your childhood as to why things are the way they are. So if we teach this education from jump, similar to financial literacy, if we teach domestic violence awareness, if we're teaching more about financial literacy early, then maybe we can curve some of these numbers, because over 80% of the people that commit domestic violence acts are repeat offenders. So clearly there's a problem in our society that, it's kind of like a funneling system, and these people are on the system. They're doing bad as intervention. They're doing different classes, and they're continuing to be on probation. So it's generating money, but we're not actually rehabilitating people. And I think that's something that is, as a society, we have to look at. Go ahead, Aaron.
Unfortunately, a lot of those people, a lot of those perpetrators are in our police force, and it's a staggering amount. And those people have guns and they don't have emotional intelligence. It's not just, and I would say it's not just police. You'd be surprised who's in a bad. You'd be surprised who's in a bad as an intervention program. Like you've got judges, you've got lawyers, you got all sorts of people, business people that's walking around. So a lot of it, and if people aren't necessarily angry, you never know who like Morgan was saying, you don't know what's going on in somebody's home or how they really are. So
can you imagine teaching something like that to a kid and they be like, damn, my dad slapped my mom all the time. I thought that was normal.
Yeah. So kids will be snitching and talking. But I think there's a way to do it so that we're not infringing. We're basically teaching, like, hey, like for instance, if a woman, like for instance, the State Farm commercial. Right? Everybody knows the State Farm, where the woman comes down the stairs. Hey, who are you talking to? Jake from State Farm?
Jake.
Yeah. Oh, it's Jake. What are you wearing? And he's like, khakis or whatever. That's a form of domestic. If you look at it, that's actually a form of domestic violence because it's a form of power and control. But people don't see it that way because it's the man and the woman. But if a dude came down the stairs and it's like, hey, who are you talking to? Let me see. Give me the phone. You would look at it a little differently. So there's a lot of images that are put on TV daily, right, that are contributing to the culture of domestic violence in our society that we don't even know. Things in movies, things in video games, things are portrayed that we think is funny, right? but they're being taught, and so even in cartoons. So when if they're doing the whole frying pan bit where oh, I gotta slap her up or whatever in a cartoon, they think that's funny, and they'll act that on their friends. But then as they get older, they're like, oh, if somebody doesn't do what I say, I can just do that. So we definitely got to do a complete diagnostic as to how we're doing it. And if we're not protecting our children, if we're not protecting our women, I've said it before, like we're failing as a society. So, but moving on, as we're talking about society.
Totally agree.
Yeah, as society thing, there was a story, really, Black Twitter, actually it was a trending topic, not just on Black Twitter, but everywhere. It's the conversation about symbolism versus substantial change, right? And so writer, activist Sean King, right? Sean King decided to say, hey, all these monuments that are coming down, and I'm paraphrasing, all these monuments that are coming down of these Confederate statues. Well, one of the biggest symbols of white supremacy is a white Jesus Christ. And he said all those white Jesus Christ statues and pictures, and I said, I'm paraphrasing, he basically said that symbol needs to come down because that is a symbol that is contributing to white supremacy and the rule of white superiority. So my question to y'all is, is it twofold? Should we be talking policy, but should we also be talking about getting rid of these images, the Aunt Jemima, the Uncle Ben's rice, the Confederate flags? Are those things as important as policies, or are our priorities mixed up? I'm gonna start with you, TJ. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a mixture of both. Like you on thing, okay, we gotta make sure the movement and we start being fair, not equal, because everybody know what equal is, but as far as being fair on what's out there. So if you go and talk about taking down statues, okay, let's start there, or let's start somewhere else. But at the same time, you have to be able to let's do one thing at a time, because change is happening right before us. We can't just like, all right, that's going away, let's like this, about that. Yes, it's good to take down statues for whatever reasons. Like the Robert E. Lee statue that's about to come down, and the Aunt Jemimas, and I think restoration is more important, with her, all the money they made off of it. But as far as the priorities, let's just handle one thing at a time first.
Yeah. I heard today that they're changing Splash Mountain. I didn't know Splash Mountain was racist. They're changing Splash Mountain into the Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
Yeah, and I didn't even like that movie. I know that's sacrilegious for me to say. I didn't think it was that great, but whatever. I mean, it's good that we had a Black princess and some representation. But what do you think, Morgan? You think those symbols are as important, or are we doing this? Is it a time wasting mechanism? Is it a distraction?
I personally feel like Black people have always had to choose. We're gonna give y'all this, or we're gonna give y'all that. And I feel like if Black Lives Matter movement now is really making an impact, corporations and things like that. And honestly, with the corporations, it's more about the Black dollar than just supporting the Black movement, honestly. Yeah. But at this time, if you got a Confederate statue in a community that's 80% Black, who the hell wants to drive through their neighborhood every day reminded of some shit like that? It's almost like the news. If that's the case, so I personally feel like if they're willing to take the shit down, let's get everything we can get while we can get it. Because once they've given us everything they're willing to give, that's it until we have a reason to get riled up again. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like at this moment, yes, it's enough of us in this world that everybody can be on each committee. It's almost like a committee. All right, we got a group of people that's focused on getting these Confederate monuments down. Let them do that. We got those of us who are in the streets marching. We got those of us who are on the political aspect of things, trying to get policies in force. So I feel like there's room for everybody to do something. Like, I think we gotta stop being on like a one track mind, because we got other shit going on too in our community, and we got a momentum going. And I just feel like as a community, if right now we need to take advantage of the moment. We don't have time to forget all that other stuff. We don't have time for it. Right now, the door is open. We need to kick that bitch in and get what we can get. That's just me.
Word. Alan, what do you think? Are we is it symbol? Are we doing too much? Too much symbolism? Or we could do both. Do you agree with Morgan? You're muted, man.
For sure, I agree with Morgan, and as I've kind of maintained in this whole thing, it's not this race has many lanes, has many runners, many lanes. We're all getting to the same goal. Just because you don't care for the statues to come down doesn't mean that other people do not. And
but who's gonna tell? It's not. Who's gonna tell Here's one thing: is who's gonna tell the black grandma that she can't have her in the South? Who's gonna tell her that she can't have the Last Supper picture in her living room? Hey. Everybody got that Last Supper picture. Everybody grew up on that. Who's gonna tell them, hey, that needs to come down too?
I think that's the Bible. Yeah, well, we're not even getting into people's houses right now.
I'm talking about the depiction of white Jesus, which is what Sean King was talking about.
Well, I think it should come down.
Hold on. I'm gonna let Alan finish, then I'm gonna go to Morgan, then I'm gonna go to TJ. Go ahead, Alan.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know. I heard TJ was about to.
You got it. Go
so let me just say, like I said, there's many lanes in this race. I don't think it is a either or. I don't think it's symbolism or action. I think you could do with one while still working on the other, because a lot of times these are done by different people. The only thing I will say, and I know we touched on this a couple of weeks ago, if we are going to have legislation that takes down Confederate leaders or even slave owners or presidents who did vile things, I would like to see that same legislation be swept into education, because I want people to know why these people are bad. And I don't want complete erasure for people to think America is just a utopia that started in 1965. So our kids need to still know about these people, but the education just needs to change. The glorification can change. And then, like I said, we can take down the statues and we could just work on the education. As long as those two coincide, I'm cool.
Cool. TJ, you had a follow up, and then I was gonna go to Morgan.
Yeah. No, I was just simply saying that Morgan made a great point. You have a committee of folk to tackle certain things. And as far as the statues goes, the monuments, it is a symbol of remindance of what was wrong with this country and what was happening to us as Black folk. So they definitely do need to come down. But certain people can be tasked for that, because we can't just focus on this and while that's slipping through the cracks, now we want to try to focus on that. But I agree more. She definitely made a point of designating different people. Y'all focus for this, focus for that. But as far as the statues, because we all know where what Jesus is from. Remember, his family even said, "Hey, we want to blend in with everybody." They went to Egypt. That's what Sean King said. They went to Egypt. They didn't go to Denmark. So it's definitely, to me, the Bible even tell you what color Jesus was, and they swear he had these blue eyes and blonde hair.
And most of the guys in that Last Supper picture were, I believe, and someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that they were pedophiles. They were like prisoners from the local jail that actually had to that were there to pose for the person who painted that picture. I believe if history is my history is correct. So so these are definitely images that you don't want to be. People pray over that. So that definitely needs to come down if that's the type of history that we're talking about. I think symbols are important, but I think they have to be done in order. This is the reason why I've had issues with legislation in the name of Breonna Taylor, or legislation in the name of George Floyd, and their killers have not been convicted, or their people who have killed them have not even been arrested yet. It's the idea of martyrdom. Like simple fact here locally in Orlando, Mayor Buddy Dyer promised me personally that he's going to meet with me about police reform and about policy change. And so, but he hasn't done that. He's been ducking and dodging, meeting with me personally. But today, he's painting Black Lives Matter on in front of Lake Eola on Roslyn. So we're getting a Black Lives Matter street here in Lake Eola. So I'm like, wait a minute, thank you for the symbolism, but
what about the conversation?
That's not even the conversation. Like, let's put some pencil and pens together and let's actually change some policy. You know, conversations, they could have it on a town hall and stuff. And, you know, I've been vocal about being against those town halls because of the exclusion, where it's like, okay, we'll pick one of you. And it's not equally distributed across the board. Well, you'll have like 5 or 6 elected officials, but then you'll only have one activist to speak for everybody, which alienates that one community activist as, oh, it's like they like to anoint, oh, he's the special Negro. And I'm not really with that. You see what I'm saying? So, let's get some equal representation on these panels if we really want to have a conversation. But we've done that before. We've done our due diligence. We've done our homework. So I just found it, what good is a Black Lives Matter street painted on the street if I can't walk down that motherfucker without being shot and killed by or harassed by law enforcement? Like it makes exactly. It makes no sense. If I can't feel safe, that I'm like, hey, I could walk in here at any time of night and not feel like I'm gonna be harassed, or shot, or my life is gonna be in danger, then you can't paint. So, Mayor Dyer can paint Black Lives Matter on his forehead, but we still won't try to talk about this policy and get things done. So, I agree with y'all. Go ahead, TJ.
No, you brought up a good point with Buddy Dyer, because when I first tried to do the Juneteenth, I called to try to be like, hey, let's set something up. They told me I was busy. They were busy. They had a lot of stuff on the thing. So I said, Danielle, do me a favor. Go ahead and call them, set this up for me. She called me back, said, all right, are you free Thursday? I said, absolutely. And so this is where the allies come in at, the ones that want to fight with you. And just sometimes you got to use those allies to get you in front of the people, because now once you're in front of them, they have no other choice but to listen. Yeah. And once they realized that was me, that they said, oh, I'm too busy, and I came with my plan of action, their whole attitude changed. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was him. And he's well dressed and he's well spoken, and he had an agenda. And so that's one of the things. You got some allies. Probably have one of your allies.
And you know what? Allies are good, but here's the thing here's what's backwards. When Black people need white voices in order to speak out against our own injustice, where someone who's an influence or power won't look at a Black person and treat them with the same respect. All I've ever asked is treat me with the same respect that you treat the executives or the leadership in the police unions, right? So when a Black person is saying, it's almost as offensive as a woman telling a dude, she's got to tell a dude, I got a boyfriend, in order for a dude to leave her alone, right? Like, guys got to say, oh, don't walk down that way, I got to come with you. Like, we don't have a society where a woman's word is bond, where she could just say, no, I'm not interested, and a dude will just respect that. A dude got to hear, oh, you got a man? Oh, my fault. Let me back. What was that, Jesse? Go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I said an explanation. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you got to be like, oh, there's a man involved. Okay, now I'll respect your space because you got another dude. And so it's the same thing when it comes to this imagery of white supremacy or white establishment, where it's like, hey, yes, we have Latinos and you have white people, but we shouldn't have to beg to say, hey, that's some antebellum slavery stuff. Could you pass a note to Massa in the big house to at least to this is what we need out here. I'm not trying to make a fuss, but this is what we need out here. And then they sit there and say, okay, that's that superiority, because now we're giving our power to the people we are asking to do something. So now when we want to speak out against something that they're doing, they're going to say, whoa, they start to reproach you. Well, TJ, didn't last time you ask me for a favor? Now, you know, and I probably won't be doing that for you next time. It's that type of stuff where now you're beholden to other races because your voice is not respected. And I think that's the antithesis of the Black Lives Matter movement as well, across the board for Black men and Black women.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But hey, I want, you know, I know we can rap about a lot of things. You know, I definitely had a good time chopping up with y'all. Y'all are more than welcome to come back anytime. But we have a segment on our show, as we always do every week. We go around the horn. We say, what's the moral of the story? It's our way to summarize the conversation, put a bow on it. And so we're going to go around the horn before we wrap, and we're going to ask everybody, what's the moral of the story? I'm going to start with Alan, since he's a veteran. He knows how it goes. He kind of give you guys an opportunity to see how it's done. Alan, what's your moral of the story this week? You gotta unmute yourself. See, I bid you up, talked you up as a veteran, and his microphone is there. Come on, man.
No, I was clearing my throat. I didn't want y'all to hear that.
You see that? You see
that? So,
moral of the story?
Moral of the story this week is, as I always start, wash your hands, wear your mask, and also everybody run your race. We have a long way to go. Whatever you are doing, it is needed in that arena. Everyone can't do everything, but do something.
Yes.
I'm gonna throw it to Morgan. Morgan, thank you so much for being on the show. Both you and TJ are welcome anytime. Morgan, what's your moral of the story? How would you summarize this conversation? What you got to say to the people?
Well, thank you for having me. I had a great time. You guys are super dope. I think for me, the moral of the story is Black people, educate yourself. So you know what you're fighting for. Black people get what you can get right now. And Black people keep the momentum. We have a habit of slacking off when we get a little bit. We cannot allow, you know, the apologies, the people that say, oh, we're standing, like you said, you know, the mayor, you know, he don't want to sit down and meet with you, but let's get these niggas a Black Lives Matter street. You see what I'm saying? Don't accept the bare minimum. Let's get what we can get. Let's keep up the momentum and educate yourself so you know what you're talking about. You know what you're fighting for.
Word, dope. Jesse, what's your moral of the story?
Moral of the story, first of all, Morgan and TJ, thank you for coming, you guys. Like TJ said, I welcome anytime. Even if he says no, I already say yes. And Morgan, you need to tell me what lip gloss you use and your eyeshadow, because you pop it. I need to know actually your whole skincare routine. So just friend me if you don't mind. So find out. But the moral of the story for me is overall just mind your business, drink your water, and mind your business. Y'all are too invested in other people's lives when you need to be worried about yourself. So that's what my moral of the story is, and that's it. That's all.
Word. Hey, good brother TJ Chatman, the TJ Chatman Show. What's your moral of the story, brother?
Man, I appreciate you guys bringing me on. Super dope, man. I like this around the horn. Like I'm actually on around the year. This is super dope. I like this setup. Just like you said, my platform is your platform. Anytime you guys want to come on, matter of fact, want to have all four of you all on to the show, so you know we can chop it up, collaborate some more. But
you gotta let them know they're not in Orlando.
Oh, they not?
No, there's New York.
Oh, I must miss
Boston. But they got to come there after quarantine, though. After all the coronavirus.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
Get that quarantine. But the moral of the story for me is this: stop complaining without a solution. Be the change you want to see, and that's it.
No doubt.
Stop complaining with no solution, and just be the change you want to see.
Word. I like that. Morgan and TJ, real quick before I do my moral of the story, can you give them your social media? Where can the Soapboxx Nation find you?
Oh, wow. You can find me on Instagram, Boundless Conversations, or my personal page, Conskided_08, and Conskided is KONSK, the 2 number 3s, ED_08.
Word. So nobody could stalk her page. You got to really know her handle. She's like, that's how I do it that way. You can't be in the club like, yo, what's your Instagram? I can't hit it. They're like, look, he done missed the 3.
I just like Boundless Conversations.
I like that. TJ, where can they find you on social media, man?
They can actually find me on all platforms, the TJ Chatman Show, and that's CHAT in Tom, MAN Show, on all platforms. And it's 8 p.m. Download the Culture Radio app to be able to listen to the show live. And if you follow us on our Facebook page, you'll be able to watch us live as well. And it's powered by the Culture TV. So yeah, and that's what we do. And my phrase always saying, keep it locked. The best is yet to come. Let's go.
That's what's up. Let me not be rude to my own co-host. Yes, y'all. I'm allowing y'all. Y'all can do y'all social media this week too. Go ahead. I'll be nice. Go ahead, Jesse.
Actually, before I start, I just wanted to say something real quick. TJ, do you mind if I use your quote as a tweet?
Oh,
which one? You talking about me? I'm honored.
No, not you. Stop.
Oh, okay. The other TJ. Okay. The smarter one. Gotcha.
He said, "Stop complaining without a solution. Be the change you want to see." So I'm about to tweet that if you don't mind. I'll put it in quotation.
And you're gonna see the one. That's something that we all need to know and understand.
Okay.
Great.
Dope. Jesse, where can they find you on social media?
You guys can find me everywhere at Andrade me, ANDRADEME, and on Twitter, same thing, but with 2 E's.
Word. Alan, where can they find you on Twitter? On social media.
On Twitter, they can find me at Alan York, ALLENYORK. On Instagram, you can find me at Homeless Millionaire. We just dropped a single 2 weeks ago for the summer, and we're also dropping a single next Friday. Tune in.
Word. I still got to listen to that. And my moral of the story is simply this. Symbolism without substance is trash. If you present anything, you can have the greatest intentions, but if you present it on a trash can, it's still a trash can lid, it's still trash. Plain and simple. Also want to give a big shout out to everybody that's been rocking with the Soapboxx Nation. We had a really successful interview yesterday with Congresswoman Val Demings, who's vying to be as a top contender to be the Vice President of the United States. Soapboxx Nation, you guys came out in full force to dispel the further rumors of Black folks not wanting to be politically and socially engaged. So thank you so much for tuning into that. We'll be interviewing some more folks as well. But my big moral of the story is this is beautiful. Black media coming together, independent Black media coming together. It's not a competition. One hand washes the other. Iron sharpens iron. Like TJ said, my platform is your platform. This is revolutionary what we're doing. Back in the day when Frederick Douglass had his newspaper, one of the reasons for Juneteenth that the Black folks weren't free for another 2.5 years is because nobody told them that they were free. And so there was a void of our people getting the information that kept them enslaved. So what we're doing right now is revolutionary because we are disseminating information, given our thought process, given our thought-provoking conversations for people to keep the conversation going, and hopefully we can ignite and spark the change that we wish to see in the future. So for Morgan, for TJ, for Alan York, to Jesse, this is the Soapboxx Podcast. We are out. Appreciate you all. Peace. All right, cool. That's where we are.